Hi, you're listening to Art Horse, a silly and serious podcast about creativity and stepping out of your comfort zone.
I'm Fiona, a layabout with a law degree.
And I'm Jess, an illustrator with birds on the brain.
We're going to chat about adding art to our lives and nurturing creativity.
Well, here it is.
Art horse, art horse, art horse, art horse, art too cheap to buy jingles. Art horse, art horse, art too cheap to buy jingles. Hey, so this is it. Horse, art. Alrighty.
Wow. Okay. Oof.
We have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah. Every Thursday I just get so excited. Like, for the beginning of the week, I'm like, oh god, I have nothing to say. But it's because we just talked. And then by Thursday, I'm like...
Things have happened.
Yeah. So, yeah. Do we...
I don't have any, general follow-up. So if you want to just dive right in.
Okay. Well, I think, I don't know if I would say the biggest thing that happened this week, but a big thing that happened this week was that my last day of the Artist Way was Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And so... if I'm being honest for a second, I skipped the last day of morning pages. I was on literally my last sheet of paper, and I just couldn't be arsed to But it's interesting because it was such a big, that was 3 months of journaling every morning.
So you did it every single day?
Every single day. Yeah, okay. And it wasn't always in the morning, if I got stuck somewhere, but most of the time it was in the morning.
You're something about you're just really good at doing things every single day, I think. Because for the last week, I have done maybe 2 morning pages. I just completely forgot and I just didn't do it. So I'm just I'm always amazed at your ability to persist in something.
Well, thank you. Thanks for noticing. I think it's just part of my routine. I think, because Greg and I are staying with my parents for the last 3 months. And so, right when we got here, basically, on, April 1st, I started the Artist Way. And I've just been, every morning I would just get up, go get coffee, maybe sit and, I don't know, sit for a second. And then just go out and do them. Yeah. And so it was just such a part of a routine that I just didn't forget. My day has been so uninterrupted almost for quite a long time. I don't have any other obligations. Yeah. But it seems like you've been traveling and stuff, so I can understand how that would...
Yeah. Yeah, when I went to Toronto, that was when I basically stopped.
Right. Because it's hard.
Yeah, I was in a different location, and so I just completely forgot all of the things that I normally do.
Totally. Oh my god, I totally get... when we were traveling and I was trying to do bird strips, it was every place we went, I had to find a new place to sit and set up. Oh god. It was so hard. It sounds so silly, but it was so hard.
It's so real.
It's real and hard. Yeah. But since I stopped, it's been, I don't know, 3-4 days. I kind of miss it. I feel like it added something really big and almost tangible to my life. Definitely tangible because it produces pages, right? But I felt like those morning pages were sort of a motor for growth for me. I would show up every day and I would learn something. I would rev myself up about ideas and get really excited and hopeful for the future. And
wow.
Yeah, it felt really, really good. And now I feel since that's gone, and I know I can start again anytime, you know? Yeah. But now that it's gone, I kind of feel
you miss it.
Something's missing now. And I think it's interesting just because, when you start something, you don't always see the impact right away. But I had enough time to get really into it and then stop and see what it was like. And it turns out to have been really good.
So you can compare what it was like.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that this week. I'm going to do some work on morning pages. Are you going to start it back up?
I will, but I'm kind of ready. This week is a bit of a, what would you call it? A climax? I'm about to finish bird strips Sunday. By the time everyone is listening, by the time you're all listening, I'll be done.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I know. So I think I'm ready to take a breather, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I can talk about the launch.
Yeah, okay.
we launched. And it was the most stressful thing I've experienced in a long time. Because, like, I don't know what I was expecting. Like, I proposed this idea to you about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I imagined it would be like. I guess I thought, like, oh, you know, like, our friends will listen, and, like, my mom might listen, and Jess might, you know, tell other people, and so there will be people listening who I don't know. I think that's what's freaking me out, is that there's going to be people listening,
Mm-hmm.
both who I know, and that freaks me out, and then also people I don't know, and that also freaks me out for different reasons. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, I'm very confident in what we've done so far.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's not perfect. I know that there's been technical issues, there's been audio issues, there's been lots of back and forth on what should we put in, what should we take out. But I'm, in general, very happy with what we've done. But it's like, I just, if somebody, like, listens who doesn't know me or know us and just, like, fucking hates it, like, are they gonna tell us, or, like, what's gonna happen?
I mean, maybe. I feel like in every thing where you share your stuff, there's always that moment where someone says exactly the thing that you didn't want to hear.
Yes. Ugh. And I feel like such a hack, like, posting on my Facebook, like, I did a podcast, everybody come listen to my podcast.
But, like, why do you feel like a hack?
It's like, I don't know, it's like the attention thing that we talked about before. I think it's like, I hate asking for attention, and that's exactly what I had to do.
Right.
Or, I mean, I guess I didn't have to. Like, I didn't have to post on Facebook, but I didn't know who else would listen. So
Where else are you gonna? You just like.
Where else? Who else is, like? I have like 4 friends. Like, I have to post on Facebook. So, I mean, but that's you know, out of my comfort zone to post on Facebook and be like, look at me.
Right. So hard.
Yeah.
It's interesting that.
And
yeah.
I was gonna just say I got like 7 likes or something. Which was just like a little bit embarrassing, but also like kind of a relief. Like, I don't know. Oh, excuse me.
I think it's funny to be so scared that someone's gonna hate something, and then like something worse happens, which is no one gives a shit. Like,
yes. Exactly.
Which I feel like is so.
It's like in Mad Men when Dawn goes, "I don't think about you at all," and it's like the most cutting line in the whole series.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh God. Indifference.
Yeah, indifference. And I think it's so interesting to me that it kind of came full circle back to, like, I don't know, episode probably 3 or 4, where we talked a lot about jealousy and attention.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah,
being afraid to share yourself, but also knowing that that was, you know, big. And then, yeah, just the way that that kind of came back. But, like, that feeling of, yeah, like, nobody notices. Like, it's like the secret biggest fear of seeking attention is that no one will care.
Exactly.
No one will look.
But you'll call out and you'll get absolutely nothing back.
It'd be like dressing up in a very strange outfit. Dressing up like a, I don't know, a monkey or something, and running through a park and nobody even looks at you. Like, that's what it would be like.
Yeah. Like, damn. So it's been kind of a wild ride for me these past couple of days. Right. So, but I'm really excited. I think that some people are gonna like it, and you know, some people have let us know, and that's been so wonderful. Like, just like, thank God, like somebody's getting something from this, because it's been so much work. Like, imagine if we did all this work and then it just was like a wet fart. Like, it just didn't. It just wasn't interesting, or wasn't helpful, or I don't know. Those are my fears. Sorry.
I cannot. Sorry, I'm stuck on wet fart.
You know, like, it's just nothing. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that's an actual expression, but Lisa says it, I think. She goes like, oh yeah, it was a total wet fart.
Right. I've never heard that
just
before in my life.
I think it means like a disappointment.
Why?
Sorry, I got you,
You
distracted by...
You really got me.
I got you there. What was your experience like with the launch?
I guess my experience was like one of creative drive almost, because like you've been doing so much of the audio editing stuff, and like I almost exclusively live on Instagram. Anybody who who follows Bird Strips and has ever like commented or sent me a message might know that. I'm like always there. And so for me, making an Instagram page for this podcast was so interesting. And it reminded me of like a couple weeks ago we talked about Amanda Palmer and her sort of saying that creativity is anything that requires human delicacy. And that has been stuck in my head, like, all week. Because I'm thinking of all the things that do require that tact. And I had to look up delicacy because I was like, I don't mean cannibalism. Human delicacy.
Human delicacy.
So I looked it up, and then, like, it means tact and consideration. So I feel, a certain way.
It's about like making decisions. Like it could be one way or it could be another, and you have to decide.
Totally.
What is it going to be?
Yeah, you have to decide, and you're using your taste and your judgment.
Yeah.
And you're like, and so I feel like launching on Instagram was a real creative endeavor.
I thought you said lunching.
Our first Instagram story is just an hour of me eating lunch.
It's a mukbang.
What?
A mukbang? I think I might be saying that right, but that's like a thing on YouTube where people just eat and people just watch you eat on YouTube.
Wow.
I think it's a sex thing, but I'm not sure.
I feel like that would be a very interesting job. Like if you could be paid. Because I've often think like if I was going to be a sex worker of some kind, I think it would be cake sitting or something that you could do. Like,
I would just take pictures of my feet. That's what I would do.
Really? Ooh,
yeah.
Do you feel like you have particularly excellent feet?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I have nice feet. I feel like people would pay for them.
I bet that's true. Yeah.
Anyway. We should probably talk about Instagram.
Okay, sorry. So the creative human delicacy
of my feet.
Of your feet. But like I got stuck, so I was making all these choices like about what to post, like you know how it is.
Yeah.
And I would so I made a couple of posts that I was like, oh, like I wish I had done something differently, like I wish I had edited something, like, or not edited but written something different. And or I wish I had put the pictures in a different order or something. And it really made me think of this like Julia Cameron quote from The Artist's Way, which has like stuck with me. This is week 7. And she says, perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with fixing things, and it has nothing to do with standards. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitating closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you're writing or painting or making and to lose sight of the whole. Instead of creating freely and allowing errors to reveal themselves later as insights, we often get mired in getting the details right. And I feel like so often I get stuck on that and I can't move on. Like I'm like, oh, like I gotta edit this to be just right, or I didn't use the right word and I have to start again. And like, so it was a real interesting exercise to come back to that and be like, oh yeah, this is a thing and I need to actually just move on. This has nothing to do with getting it right.
Yeah. And as somebody who like, I'm not really taking care of the Instagram, like I can barely figure out how to post a photo. So I'm really glad that you're doing it. But it's interesting to be on the other side because like I don't know what could have been brought by like pictures being in a different order. Or,
I know.
Like, you know, and the captions seemed perfect to me. Like they were cute, they're funny.
It's such a neurotic thing.
It is.
I don't know. I think it's something that has to be noticed, like awareness has to be brought to it, and then I have to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
I just put on deodorant while I was saying that, and I hope you can't
I
hear
did hear
it.
something.
Okay, well that was me, because I can't stand the smell of myself.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know that game.
Mm-hmm. So that's all I really wanted to say about perfectionism and that. Yeah. Okay. So tell me about trying to do too much all at once versus one thing at a time.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my thing this week.
Mm-hmm.
Is what do, basically. Like, I felt this week completely overwhelmed with all of the things that I want to do. So I wrote a text to my friend Tara, and I'll just read it out.
Okay.
I said, I feel overwhelmed. I bet you do too. Let's tell each other it's going to be okay. I'll go first. It's going to be okay. And then she wrote back, it's going to be okay. What are you overwhelmed at? And I said, I'm wondering how the hell do people stay on top of cooking and eating healthy food, and exercising, and taking care of pets, and taking care of self and home, and making money, and having hobbies, and seeing friends, and life admin at the same time. And I just felt like I don't have a grasp on what's going on in my life on like a larger scale. And then also, I feel like since starting this podcast, I've been getting so excited about creative projects and taking on more and more different things. And so I wrote down a list in my agenda after I like frantically tried to organize my life.
Right.
I wrote down creative stuff on the go, and I have a list of 6 things. They're the video project, clay jewelry, painting, sketching, comic, ? And then also comedy/writing jokes, which is like feeling like too much.
So go on.
It just feels like I don't know whether I should continue to do like little spurts here and there of these different projects, or if I should take like 2 of them and just really focus on them for a certain period of time. Because like I got, you know, you were talking about comics and I got so excited. I was like, I want to make a comic. And then my sort of task that I gave myself last week was to draw a little comic. And I did, but I'm just kind of worried about like taking on another thing that I expect of myself to continue with. Because I don't like being that person who starts things and doesn't finish them. I mean, I am that person, but like
I think we all
are
like
that not person. To be. Yeah. I would like not to be. And so I'm just like, I'm in this kind of struggle-y place where I would like to, I guess, I don't know, what do you think? Like, should I choose 1 or 2 or 3 and like get real deep into them, or like continue to sort of follow what my little heart desires at any given moment? Like, I don't know.
I feel like that's a really interesting question. It sounded to me like, well, I guess first of all, I can really relate to that excitement about like so many, because that's what happened for me with morning pages, like we were talking about, was like every day I would come up with this idea, and the idea would be like, oh, you know what I want to do is I want to like work with Greg to like turn the ski hill in my hometown into a bike park in the summer.
Whoa.
And I would like right? Like, what?
That sounds so cool.
It does sound cool,
also
right?
Totally out of left field.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Like, what? But, like, that's creative delicacy, right? Like, that's the creative project. It's a community project, which I love and care about. But, like, so I wrote, like, 3 pages about this, and I got so on fire for it. And then I kind of, like, I don't know. I feel like I decided, like, I thought more about it, and, like, the fire kind of faded a little bit. Like, it's still a fantastic idea, but it's not a right now idea. It might not even be an ever idea. But, like, just letting myself explore that was so precious and good. Like, I feel like it had such an impact on, like, me trusting that I can pursue interesting ideas even if I don't follow through with them. Like, that's okay. And I think, like, one time Greg said to me, like, you know, you don't have to, like, do everything that you come up with. Like, because I feel
Greg is always full of these like little nuggets of wisdom.
So pithy. Like,
Good nuggets.
I know. And like, I honestly, that had not occurred to me before he said that. And I didn't believe it for a long time, but I believe it now, like, because I would feel so shameful, like, if I came up with something, I had to do it.
Yeah.
And so because I had to do everything that I came up with, I didn't let myself come up with new creative ideas, really, or explore things, because I was like, if I think about this any harder, I'm going to have to do it, and who knows? And I struggle with that a little bit still, but I think, so what I'm saying is, like, I relate to your excitement, and I think excitement is really good. I also think that a lot of the things on your list, to me, don't sound like right now things. Like, unless you had a project in mind, unless you were like, okay, because you had, like, painting and sketching and stuff on there, right? Like, unless you had a project in mind where you were like, okay, I have a sketchbook and I'm going to fill this entire sketchbook with sketches.
Yeah.
Like, I think those are, like, actually lifelong things, and lifelong things can be done at our heart's content, I think. You know?
That makes sense. I think I needed to just, like, hear it from another person. That, like, it's okay to, like, do things as they come, and if they get put on a back burner for a little while, that's okay. Or if they get put on a back burner forever, that's also okay.
Yeah. And you can always pick stuff up later and, like...
Yeah. Because, like, I think in episode 2, I talked about buying all of this clay and not accessories. God, what's the word?
Yeah, it was, I mean, like, oh, I know, not adornments.
Not equipment.
But, like, hoops and rings and...
Little hoops and earring backs and tools for the clay and
art
blah, blah, blah,
supplies.
Art supplies. I bought all of these art supplies, and they've been sort of sitting under the bed for a couple of weeks, because then I got excited about a different thing. I got excited about my acrylic paints, and this week I got excited about comics, and, you know,
right.
I want to feel okay with, like, the clay that's sitting under my bed.
I think that's a tough one, because I think the reason that it's feeling painful is because it was expensive.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if you spent, like, 30 cents on it, and then you'd be like, okay, on to the next thing. I don't have to care about this anymore. So, like, what if, could you sell the clay that you bought and be like, fuck this, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to free myself from this. I'm going to keep a little bit of it.
Well,
I don't know if you want to.
I don't want to. Like, I was thinking, like, I want to keep making stuff.
Amazing. Then that's perfect.
I think it's just, like, yeah, I think I just need to, like, not pressure myself into doing 7 things at once.
Right.
And it's okay if I take, like, a month to do some painting, and then I get back to the clay stuff, or, you know, I put the I put the video thing on hold, because I've been having some blocks about that. But yeah, I've just been feeling, like, all over the place.
It's funny that, like, the things that are so interesting and exciting bring that stress.
And then I also think to myself, like, you know what? If you didn't spend 5 hours a day on Reddit, you could do all these things. Which is just, I don't know if I'm just being, like, hard on myself, but I don't spend 5 hours a day on Reddit, I don't think.
Right. I know what you mean. I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
I think something that happened for me was, like, for a long time in the last couple of years, my life was kind of out of control. I'm not saying your life is out of control, but mine was in a big way. Like, my apartment was basically a torture chamber. My landlord was, like, literally...
It was the devil.
Yeah, it was the devil. I was living in hell. And because I didn't have any control over my sort of environment, like, I couldn't choose when I could sleep, like, all of this stuff, like, so fundamentally messed up what I was capable of thinking of. And this kind of reminds me of, like, I tried the sister images exercise, and it really brought me back to this moment. So last week we talked about it. It's like you spend 3 minutes and you write basically a memory, and then you spend another 3 minutes drawing it. And so what I wrote relates to what I was just saying, which is,
okay,
I feel like I didn't segue into this very well.
I feel like you segued
so
beautifully.
Okay.
No, it's beautiful.
Okay, so this is what I wrote, and I drew kind of a cute picture to go with it, even though it was just a terrible evening. So
not
what?
hashtag, @ArtHorsePod on Instagram is where you'll be able to see that.
Yeah. So here's what I wrote. I am standing in my apartment. Something is wrong. It's a Thursday in 2018. Fall? I'm not sure. The flimsy bar from the door is on the floor. I go to turn on some music, but my speaker is gone. A bit of worry is growing. I look for my computer. It's gone. So is my favorite backpack. I feel violated. Bereft. I call Greg and he comes over. I hate this apartment. I hate my landlord. I hate that things happen to me that require so much time and energy that are not related to my goals.
Oh my God.
And like that feeling, like that last little bit. So that was when my apartment was broken into.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, I'm over it.
That.
Hashtag, yeah, over it. But that last sort of line about, I hate things happen to me. Like, it just felt like things were just happening to me. Like, I would get a letter in the mail and then I would have to, my God, like for months in the winter, and I didn't realize this was happening. No one told me, but like the post office stopped delivering mail to my house. And so I had to go, like, because of that, I had to go to a post office literally at the end of the world. Like, like this like barren wasteland in like Montreal Spring where...
And it was like a 2-hour bus ride or something.
It was huge. It was huge. It took like basically all day. But like they didn't leave a note or anything. And like, whatever. They made a choice.
They should have left a note.
They should have left a note. That I'm still not over this. Clearly.
Hashtag not over it.
Some things that are just coming up for me.
Yeah.
But like it just felt like because of this, like all of my energy was focused on these things that I had no control over, basically. Like, because someone could send a letter and then it would be like, okay, great, now I have to spend a whole day doing this thing. Yeah. And I feel like my life now, compared to whatever, 2 years ago, is like 100 times more stable, like more healthy. Exactly. Like I feel like I've done so much healing in the last couple of years that like I find myself much more free to put stuff down. I'm a little bit less tangled up when it comes to like my identity around stuff, and so it's just like easier. It's like a cleansing breeze is flowing through me. I'm well ventilated.
Good.
Yeah, so
well ventilated.
I mean, so I feel like maybe like there's a lot of, I guess, like you're moving around a lot and there's a lot of like transition and change happening for you right now. So maybe like
I don't have like my own apartment. Like I'm living with my parents right now too, and they're moving. So
right. And you're like
so I'm just along for the ride and trying to like
in a big, very involved way. Like not just like Yeah.
So I think it that makes total sense. Like when I have to always wonder like, what do I need to do today for somebody else? And,
like, what do I need to do today to be ready for the next thing that I'm going to have to do? Yeah. Like, because you've been visiting Toronto, and, like, what do you have to do to get ready? Do you have to buy a ticket? Like, you have to, you know, pack all your stuff, make sure you're not missing anything. It's a lot of work.
I'm constantly thinking about what can I do to settle myself. Like, for a while there, I was like, I'm going to move to Montreal. I'm just going to spend my savings on an apartment without having a job, and that plan went out the window. But I'm just like trying to figure out like how soon can I go to Baltimore where my partner is, and like trying to like what is the laws about borders right now, and you know it's just all very stressful, and so it's making me like I think it's kind of like taking up my thoughts and my energy.
Totally.
I have like 10% left at the end of the day to do something that nourishes me, like something creative. So yeah.
And that kind of explains why your morning pages are so difficult, because like you know, it's not, you don't have that mental space free for wondering almost, and like exactly. Like I don't know, speculating or dreaming. Yeah.
Did you want to talk about storytelling?
Hey.
Okay. Jess gets stuck on telling stories.
So I think, last week we talked a bit about like the sister images stuff, and we talked about storytelling, and I talked about that sort of photo obituary.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just been thinking a lot about, I don't even know what I could say that I've been doing. Like, I've been thinking about telling stories and wanting to tell stories, but like I'm getting stuck in such a big way, like around telling stories that other people are in. I feel like I can't start because I'm gonna get it wrong, I guess, basically, is why I can't start. I found, like, with the sister images, when I was drawing them, like, I was afraid to do it, and it went exactly like I expected it would. Like, I went into it, like, I sat down this morning, I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, I have to tell Fiona I did something this week. Mm-hmm. So I sat down to do it this morning, and like, I had this idea. I was like, you know what I've been really wanting to tell is the story of, like, for myself, all the things that I miss about sort of Montreal and the way things were before the pandemic. Like, kind of when I took all the things for granted and, like, just kind of dig out some memories.
Yeah.
But I was kind of worried, like, I've been putting it off because I was worried that I wouldn't tell the right story, quote unquote.
Okay.
And then that's exactly what happened. Like, I started with one thing, and then I tried to follow this, like, gut feeling of, this is what I'm interested in, and this is the next thing that I'm going to draw. Because it's so quick. It's like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I just tried to follow my interest, which was a really interesting exercise. But the story that I wanted to tell didn't come out at all. Like, I told it completely, like, I talked about, my friend Laurence took me to this, like, thing where they turn off all the lights and they give everyone, like, a little piece of glow in the dark tape. And so it's dark and there's music playing and everyone's just dancing. There's like 20 people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I remember.
It's so precious. So I started there, and then I went to, like, all the other dance experiences that I had, and then I ended on that time that someone broke into my apartment and stole all my stuff. And that was, like, not the story that I wanted.
Yeah. So the story that you had in mind just didn't come out.
Exactly. And, like,
okay.
I think it was a bit discouraging because, like, I know that I only have so much energy, and I want to spend it doing something that actually matters. So then anything that comes up, I, like, slap out of my own hand, like, that's not good enough. Like, that's not the right thing. That's not what we should be doing. But I think you need to be able to let stuff flow out. Yeah. And that's, like, the whole thing of the artist way, is, like, letting stuff sort of come out and getting used to.
Yeah. I feel like in the artist way and in a lot of this, like, Lynda Barry comic drawing stuff, there's so much emphasis on just, like, put your pen to paper and see what comes out. And then, whereas that's not how I operate, like, at all in general. Like, the only life experience I have is writing an essay. So for me, it's like, I don't write a sentence until I know exactly what I'm going to say from the first paragraph to the last paragraph of a 20-page paper or 50-page paper or whatever. Like, I plan the absolute balls out of everything, and then I start. So, like, all of this, like,
just go and see what happens.
Just go. Just do it. Just see what comes out.
I don't think so.
It's difficult for me, but it's also, like, but I also see its value because I do see it as, like, almost like training or, like, practice for just almost like the physicality of it, like getting yourself used to drawing comics or getting yourself used to painting, or I guess kind of like forming those habits, forming those patterns in your hands and in your brain.
Totally.
And then like, if you have an idea.
Yes.
Then you can, practice by doing the whole flow thing and just seeing what comes out. But then when you have an idea,
like, you'll be ready.
You'll be ready because your brains,
all of them.
Yeah, your brain and your hands will know how to draw a comic.
Yes.
But you just put a little bit more, like, thought, I guess, and, like, if you want to write that story about what you miss about life in the city before the pandemic and what you took for granted, plan it out, and then don't put any, or, maybe put, like, a
much
time limit on each panel or something like that, so that you can actually
tell
the story, the specific story that you want to tell.
Right. Huh.
Like, I don't think that we're ever going to, like, sit down in, like, one of these flow states and and
write the most important story.
exactly, and write what we had in mind earlier, because our brains just don't really work like that. And that's, if I can just take this topic and swerve it my way.
Yeah.
I wrote a comic yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of interesting because I had kind of a similar experience. I didn't read anything about how to write a comic, right? I didn't look at any of Lynda Barry's stuff. I just wanted to go in as like a blank slate. And like, if I said to myself, hey, write a comic right now, what would come out? So I knew that I was going to do that project later on in the day. And so throughout the day, my brain was like, what are you going to draw about? Like, you have to have an idea. And so I had this idea, and I'll tell you what it is. It's a little bit embarrassing.
No. Okay, what?
It's not like exciting or anything. It's just like,
okay, but I'm excited. Okay.
Something kind of happened. Like, this sounds so stupid, but my favorite YouTuber is Jenna Marbles. And she basically quit YouTube the other day.
What? Wow.
Yeah, after like 10 years. And I took it real hard.
Ooh.
And I cried, and I texted Mitch, and I cried some more, and I had all these like huge feelings about it and whatever.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? That was a really like strong emotional experience that I had. So I'll just write my comic about that. And then like later on in the day, I sat down and I kind of like had an idea. I was like, it's going to be 2 panels, left and right. And the first one's going to look like this, and the second one's going to look like that. And then I sat down and I put a timer on for 5 minutes, and I just drew it. And it didn't end up like I planned at all.
Okay.
Like, I didn't draw what I had in my brain, like my previous, like the ideas that I had earlier in the day of like how this first panel would look and how the second panel would look. They just didn't come out. Like, they didn't.
Interesting.
It's almost like, yeah, like the idea and the plan was such a different experience from the like, all right, now just write a comic. And I have it right here. And I haven't looked at it. And it's not good.
Sounds like you squished a bug under a book, and then you just picked up the book. Is what it sounds like. It saw the dead bug underneath.
It's just interesting because, like, so the first panel on the left, it just says, today Jenna Marbles quit her YouTube channel. And it's just a drawing of my computer with the video on it and a cup of coffee beside it. And then on the right, I wrote, I feel like I'm losing a best friend.
Oh.
And I have this picture.
That punched me right in the heart.
Well, it punched me in the heart too. Like, I feel really sad. But I had this image of what I would draw, and it didn't happen. Like, I drew something completely different, which is so strange. Like, I was going to draw me with my eyes closed, sort of trying to compose myself and crying. But that's not what I drew. I drew myself with my eyes open in a sort of despondent look.
Whoa.
And it just didn't connect. Like,
interesting.
And I think that's okay. Like, I think that's totally okay because, like, the exercise wasn't to draw what you had planned to draw.
Whoa. Yeah.
The exercise was just see what comes out.
Right.
And it was just interesting that what came out was so different than what in my mind all day, I was like, oh, it's going to look so good. It doesn't. But it's also not at all what I had in mind. And so I think that was a really interesting experience. But yeah, I just think like what we're doing when we do these experiments is they're just experiments, right?
And I think there's also this interesting thing about comics, which is like they don't have to look good to make somebody feel something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the two things that you chose, the human delicacy, whatever, that you employed to make those things. Like you chose a first panel, you chose a second panel. The phrases that you chose, the captions are really moving and true, you know? Like it doesn't have to be beautiful to be true. And I think true is beautiful anyway. Yeah,
I agree. And I think that's one of the reasons why like I looked at this and I was like, ugh, it's because like it's not beautiful. And I always feel like, oh, art has to be beautiful, but it's rather hideous. But you know.
I think the beauty in it is capturing something. Like when you capture something that touches somebody else and makes that connection, like we were talking about before in another episode.
Yeah.
Like I feel connected to that. I haven't even seen it. You literally just told me about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing that I did was finish my absolutely horrifying self-portrait. And I know that it's not objectively horrifying.
Right.
Like,
it looks good, I think. Like, it looks like art. It's a thing.
Thanks. I'm glad that it looks like art. I'm very glad. And I think, it's a decent output for my first portrait in a million years. But something about it gives me the fucking freaks, man. It scares me. I don't know. It's just like if they made like a robot and tried to recreate my face on it. It
right,
would look like that painting.
Like a silicone face.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's like something. It's like it's not quite right. It's like it's creeping me out. So I have had to turn it face down.
Look away.
Yeah, but I am.
It looks like it looks like, it looks good to me.
Thanks. Yeah.
And so so if you want to see that picture, there's a progress video of it in episode 6's Instagram post.
Yeah, it's in there. I took pictures throughout making it, and you'll see the iterations it goes through from Nicolas Cage to Skrillex to
right,
kind of looking like me, which is cool.
The one that you sent me with I can't even so.
Wait, which
you
one?
you had done hair. There was something that you were about to fix or you were fixing. So you you were like, this is it, and then you sent it to me, and it's like you have half hair, and then the other half is like looks like
it's when I was expanding the forehead.
Right, you still have hair, but it looks like you cut the hair with scissors, and it was like
it looks like when you cut a Barbie doll's hair and it just sticks straight up.
Yeah, and it was like it was full on. It was full on. That's
it was just full on.
Yeah. It really got me.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm putting that aside, and I'm proud of myself for finishing it. I guess that's what I want to say. Is that it creeps me out, but it's a finished portrait, and my mom really liked it, so that's that makes me feel good.
So we've got that going.
Yeah, I've got that going for me. Yeah. I feel like I rode roughshod over what you wanted to say. Is there anything that you want to finish up on?
Well, I guess one thing that I've been feeling, and I don't know if it connects really well, but I'm trying to I made not made a mantra, but I've been trying to tell myself a couple of things about stories so that I could make myself do them, and one of them is I'm allowed to feel things and I'm allowed to talk about it, and it's allowed to be about you.
Yeah.
Not you specifically.
About you.
about someone who reads it even. I'm allowed to have feelings about my relationships with my parents, which I never talk about on bird strips at all because they read it and I don't want them to know that I have an inner life, which is kind of a weird thing. That's a weird thing. But also I'm allowed to have feelings and tell stories that aren't the objective truth.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like I get so stuck with, well, what if I tell a story about something that happened and my experience of, a certain event, how I was feeling, and, what someone did and how I felt about it, and it doesn't have to be their truth. It's my truth, right? And so
exactly.
It's hard to tell those stories.
And it doesn't even have to be your truth.
Right. It could be made up, right? Or I could be wrong, Yeah, or
exactly.
Later I can realize a different way of thinking of it or look at it different. I don't know. It's kind of interesting because stories are so powerful. The story that you tell yourself about yourself. For the longest time, I thought I had nothing in common with my dad. I thought he just didn't get me, But the more I learn about myself, and this last 3 months of The Artist's Way have been so illuminating with sort of who I am as an adult in relation to my parents, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think
tough.
It's tough, yeah. But I think something that's really interesting is like the more that I learn about myself, the more I realize I actually have in common with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see so much of like myself in him. And like, it's so interesting that the story that I told myself for the longest time was like, you know, like, we can't have a relationship unless we're doing things that he likes to do. And like, I have to like, I don't know, like I thought all these things, but like, what if I'm allowed to rewrite what I think about that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, I don't know, that feels kind of empowering. Like, what if, like, nobody told me that I wasn't allowed to be myself? And so what if I just start saying what I think? Like, what if I rewrite my rules and my stories around that stuff? What?
Yeah.
And I feel the difference. Like, I feel, like, much more okay, I guess. Like, it really resolved a big piece of my identity that I was struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a big
week.
big week. Yeah, big couple of months. Like, I mean, it's been brewing.
It's so interesting about the stories we make up about ourselves. That's like a really interesting concept, like, because a lot of things, I feel like a lot of times life just doesn't make sense, and there's no reason for a lot of things, but we as human beings, we like to see logical chains.
Right.
So we turn things into stories, and that's how they then make sense to us.
Right. Like, this happened because so it's like they believe this, or they think this, or they...
Yeah. Or like, I don't get along with my mom because she... I'm not talking about my actual mom, but like,
right.
I do get along with my mom. Like, I don't get along with my mom because she prefers my brother or something like that.
Right.
That's
totally.
a story that we tell ourselves, and there's so much power in realizing that, like, you can write your own story.
Yeah. And like, I definitely feel that. And I think I realized the other day that I want an adult relationship with my mom. You know? Like, I want to make memories that we both remember fondly.
Yeah.
And I think I've maybe got a long way to go with respect to being open and vulnerable. But I want that, you know? Whew, cool. That's such a huge thing. Cool.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
And all I can say is cool.
Cool, yeah, no. Should we talk about something else? Are you done?
I want to talk about beads.
Are we done talking about moms? Because
I don't think I want to talk about moms anymore. My mom listened to the podcast today.
Really? What did she say?
She listened. It was funny. I came up the stairs and she had this like grin on her face. And she looked at me and she just laughed, and I was like, "Oh, she's listening to the podcast."
Aww.
I want to talk about if we're done talking about moms. I want to talk about just like a funny little thing that happened, and that I'm gonna
tell me.
Because so I think it was episode 2. I had this big spending spiral with clay and clay supplies.
Yeah. What is about to happen? What?
Fuck. No, it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
It's you know what the fucking problem is? It's Pinterest. That's the culprit here.
If I could trace it all back.
Starting point A was I look at shit on Pinterest a lot. And there were these beaded earrings, Jess. And I was like, I could make those.
You're like, I already have half the supplies.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, where do you buy beads? And then I fucking remembered what happened last time.
Whoa.
And I didn't buy
my God.
any beads.
I thought this story was going to go in a whole different direction. Yeah.
No, I behaved like an adult.
Ooh.
And you know what I might just do is I might just purchase some nice beaded earrings just to have them. And like, I don't need to make them.
Wow.
And like, maybe I will eventually, because they look so beautiful and it looks so fun. But like, I don't need to do that right now.
And you don't need to do it in order to have it, almost.
Exactly. I could fucking buy them. But I think it comes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Is like, I can do everything I want. I just can't do it all right now. So like, I put those beads on, I saved them, I pinned them to my board, to my earrings board, and they're not going to disappear. And the idea isn't going to go away. but I'm not going to do it right now.
Wow.
Because, side note, I looked at my bank account and I shouldn't do it right now anyway, so. I know. So my thing that I'm interested in and looking forward to this week is I'm going to continue on my little comic side quest thing by looking at some Lynda Barry stuff online. I'm going to continue with that, but I'm also going to I don't know if I'm going to paint or if I'm going to play with the clay, but I'm going to use what I have basically. It's like if I want to do something, I'm going to do it with what I have, and I'm not going to go buy anything else. Because, really, I have so much. I have a lot of art supplies.
Right. And it almost is like buying stuff lets you get that hit of good feelings. Yeah. It's like you can get excited about buying stuff.
Exactly. And I get really excited about buying stuff. But what I need to do now is actually use the stuff that I have. And I have oil pastels, and I have these colorful chalk things, and I have sketching pencils. I could really the world is open to me. I can have so much fun. So I'm just going to do something this week that I don't have to buy anything for.
Right. That's no pressure and fun. Just something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to do a little bit of how does one draw a comic research.
Wow.
Because I like to research and read and plan.
I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see your comic. I say can't wait because I assume you're going to send it to me.
I'm going to take a picture and send it to you. Yeah. Yeah.
And are we going to post it on the...
Yeah, we may as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. And then the morning pages thing.
Okay, so getting back to morning pages.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to bake a cake. I'm gonna...
Fuck yeah.
I know, I'm excited. The reason I'm doing one is because Sunday that's gonna be 1,000 days of birds in a row.
Yeah.
So by the time you're listening to this, you will have seen this cake already, but in this moment, I am looking forward to making it. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I know it's going to be bird themed. It's going to be my bird of the day. So my 1,000th bird is going to be...
okay.
I think it's probably going to be...
1,000th bird is going to be a cake.
Yeah. It might even be a idea. Cake mix. I don't know. Where you have to
Will it be shaped like a bird?
I'm not sure. It might be a nest with bird things in it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, mini eggs. I think sometimes... This is kind of a beautiful thing that I've realized lately is you don't have to do everything from scratch. When you cut some corners to make it so that you can focus on the most important thing. Yeah. And I think if I may or may not use a cake mix. I don't care.
But cake mixes are delicious.
They're amazing. But I feel I used to have some sort of complex about building it, making everything from scratch. But I'm over it.
No,
they were over it.
Created in a lab to be perfect.
I know.
They're great.
Man, exactly. This is engineered to make me eat the whole thing.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about your projects too. I can't wait. I'm so excited and pleased. I love comics.
Your expectation, or not expectation, but and it's not even really accountability. It's you being excited about me doing it makes me excited about doing it. So, yeah.
Yay!
Find a creative buddy, people. It's the best.
And, honestly, we can be your creative buddy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
We can,
that's
be that.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel that's a really good segue into our sign off, which is, if listening to this podcast makes you feel seen, or inspires you to make a creative leap towards something, something that is interesting to you that you haven't tried, or something you can't stop thinking about, we would love to hear about it. So you can send us an email at arthorsepod@gmail.com. It'd be so fun if you sent us a voice clip. That would be so fun.
Oh, yeah.
But we also love pictures. We love stories. So, send us an email.
Any type of media.
Or you can let us know on Instagram at arthorsepod.
Yes.
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 Yes. I'm I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is so fun because it's the first episode that people will hear like on time because we've just been catching up. So it's like
up until now they've just been like secret podcast episodes.
Yeah.
That we're just like making for ourselves, and now they're like out in the world and people can like react to them. I'm really excited about reactions. I really would love to hear what you, the listener, thinks about it. If you have any comments, any suggestions, I am so excited to hear them. So get in contact with us if you want to.
Yay. Okay.
Yay.
Well,
all right, I have to go make dinner.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Okay, bye.
Bye. Are we hanging up?